Hey, it's Kim. Glad to be here with you on this Tuesday. Going preppy today. This is my preppy shirt, and it's nice and lightweight. I like the comfort. I don't know. We're going through a preppy season. I think is it preppy? I don't know. Anyway, I'm a kid of the '80s. It's the blue stripe. Seems preppy to me. I'm glad that you guys have joined me tonight. I wasn't here last week. Life's been hectic. Things are crazy. There was a moment today where I considered not going live today. And then I thought, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. So let's make this happen, although it will be a slightly shorter Q&A session than usual. But hopefully the algorithm picks me up because it'd be nice if people wanted to join us today. Today, I decided I felt like drinking some Zevia from the can rather than my sippy cup, mostly time management. It takes like a good 2 minutes to fill the sippy cup properly because their sippy cup has to have ice. It's got some Zevia and then also some sparkling water because I thin it down because it's kind of sweet. But then I was like, no, I'm going straight to the can today. So that's where we're at. That I know, insightful, amazing, fascinating, I am sure. What am I having for dinner? Because it's kind of hectic, I ordered some of these factor meals. So what have I got here? I got to put them back in the fridge. But this doesn't look extremely good through the plastic, but you can see it's chicken, cauliflower rice, and a cream sauce on this one. It looks better when you take the plastic off, obviously. This is Mexican cauliflower rice and queso blanco. So see if I can do this without dumping it on myself. I'm gonna have it for dinner. Oh no, I gotta cook it with the top on. You know what I'll do? I'll put a picture up of it after tonight on my Instagram so you can see. But it actually looks pretty. They look pretty appetizing when you open them up. But if I take the top off now, it won't cook right in the microwave. So anyway, this one, it's 400 calories, 21 grams of fat, 14 carbs, and 40 grams of protein in this chicken. So it's like a chicken breast, cauliflower rice, and there's a sauce underneath the chicken. It's got a little bit of a kick to it. This one is a non-keto one. This one is for my boyfriend or sometimes me. We just decide to split it up because it is on there's some potato in here. But this is a grilled chicken with green beans. So Factor has keto meals, non-keto meals, higher calorie meals, lower calorie meals. They cost around $10 a meal. I pop it in the microwave. They come in the mail. Super easy. Anyway, so I thought I would let you guys know what I'm doing when I'm rushed. Sometimes I usually like to cook, and every once in a while I'm like not having it. Just not into it. Not at all. The only problem is I need advance notice that I'm not into cooking for a while because you have to order these a week in advance to come. But anyway, there are all sorts of alternatives when you're not in the mood to cook. You can do real good foods available in most grocery stores. They've got lasagnas, they got pizza things, they got enchilada things. So that's an easy keep in the freezer option. Chicken nuggets. Although I'm going to say the chicken nuggets don't taste very breaded. They taste like seasoned chicken breast, which is tasty and good, but they don't really have like a breading thing. Anyway, I just like truth in advertising. Hey, Magic Beans, it's good to have you here. Hey, Kristen, nice to have you joining for the live tonight. I'm glad to be here with all of you. What is up, people? What are the questions people want to talk about? What do people want to know what's going on? I'm dealing with a fascinating case with a client of mine right now where we can't figure out what her blood sugars actually are. So hopefully she'll know soon. Dealing with one of those, doctor won't prescribe a CGM, and yet things are confusing about the blood work. And so it's really important, I think, to understand the root cause of things, or else you just stay kind of blind. And so in common sense labs, the book, we talk about, what you should look at in terms of your metabolic markers and your blood sugars. And so anyway, I've been doing some of that today, and enjoying that the sun is out this afternoon. It was a little foggy this morning, and that's about it. What are you guys up to? What's going on in the world out there? Anything? Hey, Dennis, it's nice to see you. Glad to have you here. Greetings and salutations. Other things going on in the world. It's summertime. People are going on summer vacation. People are doing interesting things with their vacations. I don't have anything big planned. Probably a little bit of time in Lake Tahoe, which is a destination not too far from me. It's about a 3.5-hour drive from where I live. So that's a nice place to go in the summer. I'm not leaving the country or anything like that. So that's what's planned over here. I've been, oh, wow. Original Magic Bean says, I've lost 22 pounds since being in your Unstuck class. That is awesome. I'm so happy to hear. You did all the hard work, and I'm so glad that you were able to learn some things that helped you unstick what was once stuck. And you'll have to write me a review we can put up. That's really awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. I'm focusing my summer attention on getting some things situated with versions of books and educational things, and finishing up a certification that I took on a while ago that I never finished. I was like, I should probably finish that. Yeah. Julia said, hey, are you doing group coaching? I am. I do have a group coaching group. Poorly worded sentence, but I do have a group coaching option. It's available. It's not actually available publicly right now because I haven't enrolled a cohort recently. But Julia, if you want to reach out to me, just send me a private message and we'll hop you in the back end. So glad to have you back. So it can be really helpful to have a group of people supporting your efforts on an ongoing basis, get to know you, get to know your struggles. So often what you say here, right, is that it's not that you don't know what to do. It's just that it's keeping to it. And that's the problem with those people. It's not that complicated. It's hard. It's hard. It's a challenge. It's a struggle. Stephanie said, what's going on? Well, keto went out the window on vacation. I'm disappointed in myself, slowly getting back to normal. Might just do low carb instead. You got to find a way forward that works best for you. And there's no sense dwelling in the past. No sense, thinking, oh, I wish I'd done something differently. You can think that, but what's a more useful thought is what would be better next time? And if being more generally low carb is going to work for you, then that is good. You got a friend hooked on the cottage cheese yogurt. I know, it's so good. Now I'm thinking I should make that. Kristen said, in the Unstuck class, what time are the Zoom calls? Normally our Zoom calls are Sundays around 3 p.m. California time. However, sometimes they're different. I'm not currently running a class, but I will again in the future. So, let me know what you're interested in for that. Thirsty. I hope, what else is happening out there? Let's see. I'm just seeing if I missed any questions that came in. To Stephanie's point, how do you decide, if you want to be low carb or keto or what works best for you? I think, for a lot of people, being in ketosis has some real benefits. And I feel like I spend a lot of my time in the past few months sort of talking about reasons not to be keto. And then I think, I hope I'm not giving that message. I want people to be keto if being keto is what truly works for them. But I'd rather see people do low carb if low carb works for them, or, better. I want people to do what works best for them. So if you feel like, Stephanie, that being generally low carb would be a better approach for you in terms of something that you could stick to and that you won't completely fall off on, that's something to evaluate. And what do I mean by work better? Well, I think that some people, when they go keto, they, they're really strict and they're on point and they're doing it right. And then they fall off, but they have one cookie or one something. And they're like, well, I'm not in ketosis anymore, so I might as well eat, this entire pizza. If that's going to be the mindset that you fall into, well, then it might be better to say, well, if I know that if I have a cookie and I can be like, well, I can make that work in my macros and my day is totally fine. And now I'm not going to eat the pizza, right? I mean, not to demean pizza, but the idea, like if you're like, okay, because I didn't violate, like if you're a real stickler about certain things, if violating one small rule is going to make you like burn your house down, then having a slightly looser set of rules might be more beneficial to the way your personality works. So that's all I mean there. And I think that's what Stephanie's talking about. So all of us have to find, what is the way that keeps us able to moderate and manage our own food intake better. I think that's the way we got to go with it. And so, but some people, like I have some clients who mentally they're clearer, they think better, they are able to just stay in the right mindset better when they stay in ketosis. And so that's something you've got to know about yourself. My podcast last week, and I think Indigo Neely did a live about this. And even I think Nisha is now doing a ketovore reset for herself, right? I think a lot of people, they like get to a place where they're suddenly like, oh, things have gotten messy. Things have gotten complicated. I'm making excuses for things I'm slip sliding, I'm sliding a little bit down the hill in terms of my choices. And, when those things happen, you have to say, I got to bring it back to baseline and know what your baseline is. And so, a lot of us in the world need to really have a good firm handle on what baseline looks like. So again, to Stephanie's point, if you had a bad week, a bad month, a bad summer, a bad whatever, it's like, okay, well, what's my baseline? Like, what do I want to get back to? What's going to get me, like, not like I need to fix myself, not like I need to punish myself, God's sakes, not that at all. But like, okay, well, what's going to make me feel sane again? What's going to make me feel grounded again? What's going to make me feel somewhat in control again? Those are the kinds of questions that we have to ask ourselves when things aren't going, fully to plan, or when the plan has been abandoned. And, then it's like, okay, well, now what's the plan? Right. So that's something that we all need to think about, what that baseline looks like and how to get back there. And so for each one of us, it's different. For me, it's like much simpler, much less complicated. It can be things like, I know what's in here. I know what the ingredients are. I know how many calories it has. I know how much protein it has. I know how much fat. I know what the macros are. I'm not going to make anything. This is dinner. It's very simple. It's dinner, right? And it's not going a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And you can little bit yourself back to 200 pounds. So something we all have to kind of be aware of when we're trying to find the right approach for ourselves. And so what does simple look like for you? What does baseline look like for you? When you get off track, what do you come back to? I think those are the essential questions a lot of us have to ask. So, all right. What else is going on out there, people? Any questions, any thoughts, any concerns? Hey, Cincinnati. Nice to see you. I've never been to Cincinnati, but I had very fond feelings about Cincinnati, mostly because I used to watch WKRP. You remember that show? What was that show called? Was it called something? No, I can't remember what the official name of that show is, but it was, a show about a radio station, WKRP in Cincinnati. It's from the 80s, right? Anyway, I'm having an 80s flashback day. With Les Nessman on the news. Val says, I need to reset again. Yeah, I think a lot of us just need to, find a way to get back to our baseline. Summer, I don't know, it's just WKRP in Cincinnati. Was that actually the name of the show? Okay, good. Yeah, I love that show. I have so many fond memories of that show from when I was a kid. I don't even know if it's on anymore, but I'm sure I could find it online. But there was Johnny Fever? Is that his name? Howard Hessman, right? Was the actor that played him. Anyway, I think I was like 6 when that show was on. Anyway, but it was like it's like a base childhood memory for me. But anyway, Val, getting back to baseline, I think for a lot of people is important. Now we're all reminiscing about that show. It was why was it so good? What was it? I can't remember. I can see all the faces. Oh yeah, Lonnie Anderson. I can see all the faces. Like they feel like family. Anyway, but back to my childhood. Karen said, I have degenerative disc disease. Oof, sorry to hear that. Wondering if keto would help with that. So, I don't honestly know a lot about degenerative disc disease to know the root causes of degenerative disc disease to tell you a straightforward answer. I can tell you that eating a good diet and being in as good a health as you can all around is your best bet for dealing with any health condition. But I don't honestly know enough about the causes of degenerative disc disease. So let's Google. Not that this is going to answer your question, but now I'm curious. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is, I actually am a little bit familiar with this from other sources. But I think that one of the things that you need to do to best manage spine pain or back pain is, really work on anything that can help you lower inflammation, help you be able to have as much mobility as possible. And then both my parents have spinal issues, so I am familiar with some of the stuff that comes up. It's terrible. It's very painful. I totally understand it. It's all encompassingly bad. My mom has especially really bad spine stuff that's gone on over the past couple of years. Will being in ketosis heal your spinal column, your discs? It's most of it is that the padding between the discs in your spine become compressed for the most part. So anything you can do to help with inflammation is going to be helpful. And so keto can be very helpful with that. I can't say it's going to reverse it or turn it around, but definitely being in as good a health as general as you can and eating a good diet and reducing inflammation are going to be, at least beneficial to those issues. So CJ says it's taken me 3 years to finally understand my carb addiction. Absolutely. Yeah, Terry, I'm so sorry that I wasn't in Baltimore. I had a family crisis come up and I couldn't leave the area. So apologies. I really did want to be there very much. So hopefully you had a great time. Yeah. So, I think I know from working with various people over the years that have spinal issues, that being in a less inflamed state obviously is very helpful. So that's what I would focus on Oh my gosh, Jujuby. Yes, Les Nesman. Bailey. Yes, 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 yes. All of those. All of those. Aren't like TV shows from childhood like the best? Some awesome things. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, thanks, Terry. Kelsey says I have chronic back pain, but clean keto has dramatically helped. Yeah. So things like arthritis, pain, like low back pain, those things can be helped just by reducing the load on your body. Other things that can actually help with a lot of spinal things are weight loss. If you're carrying a lot of excess weight, being more active as much as you can manage it, all of that can help with your mobility and your ability to manage, right? So like what do they do for a lot of these conditions with the back? They give you like steroid shots and things to try to reduce inflammation. So Marianne says it's amazing to me that I was a severe carb addict just 2 years ago and now it's not even slightly appealing. That's super awesome, Marianne. Good to hear. I think sometimes when we reverse the things that were really troubling us, that we can feel a lot better in our bodies and in our lives. We can come to a place where we start to appreciate some of the things that we're getting out of being out of our addiction. I think also we need to be kind to ourselves and understand that, at various times, those addictions may call to some people again, and it doesn't mean anything bad about any of us. When we have those thoughts, we just have to know how to deal with them, how to evaluate, how to recover if those thoughts become too loud, and how to manage ourselves around our addictions. And it is true, though, there are some people that once they get past the desire for those foods, those desires don't return to them. And so that's awesome. And I think, we're all on the spectrum of managing ourselves. It's never just one thing. It's always a constellation of things. But, when we are able to really turn our lives around, just a lot of things can get a lot better in a lot of categories. So that's super awesome to hear. Absolutely. All right. What else have I been doing recently that you guys might want to know about? Mostly, I'll be honest, it's been a rough couple of weeks with family stuff and life stuff and stuff and all the stuff. And so I'm like, mostly it's just been survival over here. So I'm happy to be with you guys today. And I'm happy that we can connect. And yeah, so, families, life, being a person is rough. It's just rough out here. This was not what I expected as a child. When I looked at adults, it seemed pretty easy. As an adult, I'm going to say, I don't know if I would have signed up for this if I had known what was entailed, right? Because like I remember being a kid and like I didn't really, I'm just contrary. I didn't love being a kid. When I was a kid, like I was in such a rush to grow up. I was like, I don't want to be a kid. I want to be a grown up. I want to do grown up things and talk about grown up things. This kid thing is stupid. And now I'm a grown up and I'm like, what the actual F is this? This is not what I expected. I don't know what I expected, but I thought it was going to be more like the movies. I think the movies really screwed me over. I saw like a meme the other day and they were like, Gen X, the generation that was 30 at 10 and at 50 is also 30. And I was like, seems to be true. So anyway, yeah, like nothing, everything, no one is dead. It's fine. Like, anyway, life. Kelsey says, so true. I'm constantly surprised how hard every life and parenthood and everything is. Now I have a 7-year-old who can't wait to grow up. Yeah, like I remember being a kid and being like, I'm so can't wait to be an adult. And now I'm like, huh? What? And now I'm getting old. I mean, nobody be offended. I know some of you are older than me and you'll be like, shut it. But like now I'm 50 is on the horizon and that is weird. It is just weird to me. And then like as someone who spent like their entire young adult life in a very overweight body, like occurring to me that like just kind of coming to the realization that like you got to learn to love yourself in the body you are, and at the same time like now I'm like dealing with loving my weight and my age. Was that all included in this anyway? Sorry. Hello and welcome to Kim and Neurotic Brain Hour. Anyway, Val says, yeah, time went so slow when we were kids and now it's just flying by. Exactly. Adulthood is totally a trap. Totally. All right. Juju B says, day one of a CGM. Okay. So first thing I'll say is day one of a CGM, totally inaccurate. The first day, not super accurate. Actually, best thing that I can say about to do with a CGM, when you first put it on the first day, don't even activate it. So put the little patch on and just let it sit there for a day before you activate it. Then activate it. You didn't do anything bad. It'll be fine. But, you know, that actually seems to help it be a little more accurate. And then the other thing is that you will have times when you're sleeping that it will suddenly tell you that you have had a severe hypoglycemic event. And the reality is you probably just rolled onto your CGM. So if you've got your CGM on your arm, right, and then you roll onto that arm, the flow of interstitial fluid to the patch gets cut off slightly, which means it thinks you're having a low blood sugar event because less of the fluid is signaling the thing. But it's just that you rolled onto it. And so I had to learn with my CGM to actually turn my phone completely off and put it in another room when I was sleeping, because every once in a while I would get woken up at 3 a.m. to a whooping, loud, invasive alarm warning me of a dangerously low blood sugar event when it's just that I'm a side sleeper. So yeah, don't trust middle of the night under 50s or something like that. Yeah. If you roll on it, you're done. You're done. Yeah, everyone is like, I'm 65. What the heck? Right? Yeah, I know. Crazy. I know. And I hear it from my mom too. My mom is like, she just turned 80 a couple months ago. And she's like, I don't understand. Yeah, none of us get it. And I think that's like, you know, when old people seem really confused, I think what they're thinking is, what the actual F is happening that I am this old, right? It's like, it's just weird. Anyway. Fully laden swallow. Hell, when I was your age, I was twice as old. Yeah. I don't know what happened. Yeah. Have you seen also those memes where it's like, I look at people, I look at old people and find out they're younger than me. Like you find out someone's age and you're like, what? How is that possible? Anyway. Yeah. But so yeah, Jujubee, like the CGMs, you got to take them with a bit of a grain of salt. The middle of the night thing, that's almost always that you rolled onto your sensor. But it's also not out of the question that you might have some lower blood sugars in the middle of the night, and generally not a big deal. But like it just kind of trends down overnight often, right? And then it's going to trend up in the morning when you have that natural rise in cortisol in the morning. Selena says, I'm so excited to be 40. I'm excited for you. The older I get, the less I care what other things. I think that is actually a good point, Selena, which is to say, I know I care. I still care quite a bit what people think of me. But I care a lot less, and I am a lot. I just can't answer. I want to care sometimes, and I'm like, oh, it's exhausting. So yeah, my opinion has improved. I'm going to say, Selena, the early 40s are pretty nice. Enjoy. All right. Kristen said, I had messaged you about my CGM. I'm learning a lot. Definitely needed to up my fats. My blood sugar hovers around 110. I mean, we all have blood sugar. It's very interesting. I'm trying to work out some blood sugar stuff. Like I said, with a client of mine, it can be very interesting. What do I suggest doing? Well, first, make sure you know your A1C. But this is a point I want to bring up. 25% of people's A1Cs are inaccurate. So I want to decide that your health is good just based on your A1C. So if you think, so let's say your A1C comes back at 6, but whenever you test your blood sugar, it's under 100. And you're like, that doesn't make sense to me. Well, there can be, some people have longer living or shorter living red blood cells, which is going to make the A1C wrong in terms of being a useful interpretation of your average blood sugar, because they calculate the A1C, the average blood sugar from the A1C, based on the estimation that the average red blood cell lives about 90 days. And so when they do that, they can say, okay, this is an estimation of what your A1C is over those 90 days. Or rather, this is your A1C, which is an estimation of what your average blood sugar is over those 90 days. But some people's red blood cells live 60 days, some people 120 days, and anywhere in between or a little more. And so for the most part, the inaccuracies, there's a condition called beta thalassemia is one of them, which causes longer living red blood cells. There are many different types of things that can cause longer or shorter living red blood cells. And so if you have any doubt that if you're like, this, my A1C seems weird, whether it seems higher than you think it should be, or whether you think it's lower than you think it should be, you can get a fructosamine test. I think a friend of mine just had one. It was like $40 from Ulta Labs, not super expensive. And it essentially gives you your average blood sugar over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it's like an A1C in concept, but it's a much shorter time frame, which means it's potentially more accurate. And then you take the number and you translate it it gives you like a number like 300. And you're like, what does that mean? So then you have to translate it to what average blood sugar that would be. So if you suspect you're one of the 25% of the population that has an inaccurate interpretation of average blood sugars because you have not standard living red blood cells, totally 25%, it's not a small number of people, then you can double check your A1C by getting a fructosamine. And so, yeah, that's what I would suggest doing if you think your A1C might be inaccurate. And then you get it confirmed or denied. So that can be helpful. Jujubee says, my sister is a type 1 diabetic. Anything south of 65 makes me nervous. So yeah, absolutely. But you got to remember, right, that for her, when she goes below a 65, she is taking insulin. She is taking exogenous insulin. And so seeing your blood sugar go very low when you're taking exogenous insulin means you may have overdosed on that insulin. You make your own. So that lower blood sugar doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for you as it does for her, because you don't have the potential of ODing on your own insulin, because your body won't overproduce. Well, I mean, it can overproduce it, but not in a way that's going to harm you in the short term, right? Might become hyperinsulinemic and then develop type 2 diabetes, but this is a long process, right? So it's not the same thing. Not the same thing. You know that, but I'm just confirming that for you. Tina, how do I feel about fasting? I know I'm not alone on this, but I know when I try it, it seems like I binge because it feels like a punishment. I've tried it several times. I think that says like the cool kids. I don't think it's my jam. I don't fast, Tina. Same reason. I have a history of binge eating disorder. I have been diagnosed in my past with binge eating disorder when I fast. everything goes very badly. So while I've done it and I haven't died, I am not someone who fasts. And I'm somebody who I like to be out here in the world telling you, you don't have to. You don't have to do it. Especially if you are someone that has noticed repercussions that are not positive for you. Now, I do support time restricted feeding, which would be like I start eating at a certain time and I stop eating at a certain time, because I don't think we should be eating while we're sleeping. And so I think there are some limits. I also think we shouldn't be snacking much, if at all. So it's not, I do not support what do you call it? Grazing, right? So I do support some time restrictions around eating, but I think long fasts can be detrimental to some of us. Who are they not a good idea for? As I mentioned, anyone who has a history of binge eating disorder that they know it is triggered. I'm not saying that no one with a history of binge eating disorder can fast, but I'm saying if you have a history of binge eating disorder or anything like that, bulimia, proceed with extreme caution. And then other people, I think there's a cost benefit ratio issue that comes up. I think if you are very obese, you have a little bit more room for fasting. But if you're like close to an appropriate weight for your body and you're postmenopausal, be very cautious with a lot of fasting, because you're most likely losing muscle mass that you can't afford to lose. So there are a few considerations we have to look at, in my opinion, when we're going to be fasting. The first is, does it agree with who you are from a mental and mental health perspective first? And then second, from a body composition standpoint, can you afford it? And if you have a lot of body fat, you have a bigger piggy bank than if you're leaner. And so, we have to look at it's all cost and benefit analysis. Selena, but I think, Tina, to your point, what you're saying here is you don't have to do it. Nobody has to do anything. There are multiple approaches to improve our health and well-being. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And I think you should listen to that. Selena says, being disciplined with taking berberine and chromium have helped to stop snacking, since I have to be 2 to 3 hours between meals and 30 minutes before a meal to be effective. Oh, it's good. You're like, I have to do this thing in this window. I need to make this window happen. It makes sense. Tina says, yeah, I eat lunch and dinner each day. Seems to work for you. That sounds fabulous. Sounds like you're doing super good, Tina. 2 thumbs up from Kim. All right. What else is going on, people? Anything else before I wrap up for the night? It was nice to have you join me. I'm glad that you were here. I hope people are having good things going on for the summer and enjoying their lives. So, all right, guys. Well, we'll call it an evening because I have to get to some things before the sun goes down. But thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, guys.